Au revoir.
Okay, we are rolling. Welcome to another episode of FitPet Boston Talks. My name is Leah Lodato, and I am the host of the show. And today I am joined by my wife and partner, Laurie Lodato.
Hello.
And this is going to be a special bonus episode. I got a couple of questions from our listeners regarding the Disc Dog series that I have been releasing. And this episode is going to release around the same time as the last installment of the Disc Dog series named The Practice. So I recorded those episodes over Thanksgiving weekend because I had some time and really wasn't able to reflect or respond to any feedback that I got from our listeners. So I just have a couple of questions, nothing too crazy, but I did want to talk about it and also get Laurie back on the podcast because everybody loves an episode with Laurie and it's been a while. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention bettervet.com. Bettervet.com is a mobile veterinary service. They come right to your door and you can save $75 on your first visit if you use the code FPB75. So check them out if you are in the market for a new vet. Okay, Laurie,
Yes.
What have you been up to?
I'm done competing for the year.
Yes,
Woo!
both of us are done
So
competing
happy.
for the year, and we are both so happy.
We need a break.
We do. It is a beautiful evening here in New England. The snow is lightly falling,
But no one knows how to drive.
but no one knows how to drive. The downstairs is clean. Our
Holiday stuff is out.
Our holiday stuff is out. We updated our price lists and service descriptions, got
Sent
it all
out
to our clients, got the gifts going, the Christmas cards going, the calendars going.
We didn't do Christmas cards, though.
I do Christmas cards for the dog walking.
Oh, and then I did the calendars.
And you do the
But we used
calendars.
to send out personal ones, and we don't anymore.
I know.
I'm kind of okay with that.
Maybe we'll get back on that bandwagon next year.
Maybe, but, nobody minds dogs. But Instagram and Facebook and this, and then the middle school that I go to is on Twitter, and I'm like, oh my God, do I have to start tweeting? I barely have the hang of Instagram.
I feel you.
And then how tired are people of repetitiveness? Like, it's on Instagram and then it's on Facebook. Hopefully the Instagram people aren't on Facebook, or they're seeing it triple times, or...
Yeah, it's kind of hard to know what the reception is like, right? You just got to go with what your gut tells you.
But
if
tweeting,
it's good,
do I have to
post it.
tweet now?
I don't know. I am not very active on Twitter at all. I feel like for dog stuff, I don't even know any dog people that are active on Twitter.
Like, Buddha's more popular than me. and the Twitter people are, it's the school, and mostly the school. Our middle school is all on Twitter.
The Kennedy Middle
The
School.
people are taking snapshots and sending it to me like, oh, hey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really
Hey,
interesting.
did you see this? Buddha's part of the Giving Tree. The middle school is really nice. They have this Giving Tree program, and it supplies presents for kids who are less fortunate or just don't have the money to get presents. And I think that's awesome. And Buddha posed in front of their Giving Tree to remind you to have a Buddhaful holiday. That's what they put.
That was a caption on Twitter?
Yeah. He has had enough press. I am glad that it's all him and nothing about me.
Yeah.
That's how I like to roll now.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And he's been very active with his therapy dog visits, which has been neat.
Yeah. And my friends from our TDI chapter, Catherine, who's on the podcast, and Penny and Piper, and Stormy and Reggie and Liz and her German Shepherd Anya. The kids were so happy to see, different dogs. So that was exciting. There were 70 kids that we visited.
At the Best Buddies program.
And I needed help because 70 kids for one dog is a lot. But the library's going good. Schools are going well. I've been mainly sticking to the middle school because time.
Yep.
The holidays are crazy for everyone, and we're just running out of time.
Yes. Yes. And Buddha got his 50 therapy dog visits for a year to make him
He's an
TDI active dog.
Yep, TDIA, and he got his AKC therapy dog title this year. That's something that we wanted. And at Springfield, good old Springfield, on Instagram, I put the story of just how busy it is in there. It's insane. You can't even hear yourself think. And we went there. I said I'd never go there again. I'm honest to God, I feel like I'm there twice a month. And we got our Rally Masters title yesterday. We got our Rally Advanced Excellent title ×2 yesterday, because as you try to get your 20 triple Qs, which is required for a Rally Championship, you end up getting your RAE again. So that's what we did. We ended the year positively. He placed once in the, we got our triple Q on Friday. We didn't place, and then Saturday morning we placed once in fourth, and then at nighttime we did a little bit better. The crowd was a little smaller. Let's not fool ourselves, people.
Yeah, a little less pressure from the sidelines.
Well, just honestly, for Springfield, it was quiet for the second half. If you don't count crates coming in and out of the door that it's right next to the rally ring. But, man, there were so many good competitors there. There's this field lab there that's just kicking ass everywhere. So excited to work. You know, Buddha was like, I've had enough, lady. He looked at me, and I know that he did well, and I know he did everything he was supposed to, and he placed, but I know that he's tired. So he just looks at me like, are we done now, Mom? Okay, yeah, we're done. Take a break. That's them chewing bones. So Ruben's on the sofa.
Yeah, if you hear a low drone of chewing,
yeah,
our dogs are enjoying their bones
Big
with us.
Boo's eating his Durabone, Nylabone, and
Ruben's got
Ruben's
his
killing an
antler.
moose antler right now. He's killing it. That little bastard.
Yep.
Oh, and it was his gotcha day.
Yes, yesterday, December 10th, was Ruben's gotcha day.
We
got Ruben from Schultz Guest House in Dedham, which, if you are looking to rescue a dog, I had a very pleasant experience rescuing a dog from Schultz. It's a rather large facility, and they schedule a time that you can come and spend an hour with the prospective dog, which was super cool.
You can walk in the back
where
the kennels
can walk
are?
in the back where the kennels. You can take the dog out on a leash on a walk, and at the time...
And they require you bring your dog. If you have a dog in your household already.
Yeah, they don't require it, but you can. So we brought Ripa, the dog that was our dog at the time, Laurie's dog at the time.
The best dog.
It was nice because we could, kind of see how she was interacting with the puppies, and there was a couple other dogs in Ruben's litter, and we picked him. And yeah, he was tiny at the time. It was so funny because he was probably maybe 12 or 13 weeks, and he only weighed 10 pounds. And I think we had puppy blinders on. I did, at least. And I brought him home, and I was like, hey, this is a small dog. And I knew he wasn't going to be tiny, but he oscillates between 32, 33 pounds. So he's not a large dog, but
who knew what he'd become?
I had no idea. I had big dreams, and my dreams were shattered and replaced by better dreams. I guess.
You're like, oh, he's going to be a pet dog, and then he ends up being a Frisbee guy.
Yeah.
Good boy, Ruben.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, Ruben's gotcha day was yesterday. Laurie's been crushing it with rally competitions and therapy dog stuff. Got up to do some IGP work last weekend. It'd been quite some time, and I miss everybody at club because during COVID, I was able to hang out with these Schutzen people because we didn't have very many obligations on Sundays. But now that the schedule is normal, I have not been able to hang out with Granite State Working Dog Club. So, and I do just mornings, yes, on Sunday mornings I have Toss and Fetch League, so I'm gone in the mornings. But if anybody is listening from the IGP Club in New Hampshire, I miss everybody. And I try to send my love when I can.
She sends her love in the form of sourdough bread.
I do. I make sourdough bread and send it up when I can.
That's good love.
It is good love, I hope. Anyway, okay, I want to get into some of these questions. Again, I just have a couple of them. And, this podcast is something that I very much enjoy, but it's not like thousands of people are listening to every episode. So if you send me a message, I will read it. if you want to send me some video, if you're into playing disc with your dog, I will look at it. If you need lessons, we can obviously talk about that. If I am qualified to give them, I certainly will. And if not, I will send you to somebody that can help you. But I just sent a message to Andrea Morissette. She just changed her name because she got married.
Oh,
yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah. But I thanking her because I realized that I needed a coach to teach me how to freaking do better in the sport. And I was on, I forget the name of the group on Facebook, but it's something Disc Dog 100 or something like that. And it has all like the top names in all of the sports, freestyle, distance, every sport, Skyhounds, Toss and Fetch, Up Dog. And I just put it out there. I said, I need help with my throws. Who can help me? And there was about 20 suggestions, and she was the first one to reply. And we chatted a little bit on the feed, and so I contacted her and worked something out. And I just sent her a message tonight, and I posted in her group. She has a group on Facebook called Disc Dogging with Dre, and if you work with her, you can.
What is it?
It's called Disc Dogging with Dre.
Disc Dogging
with Dre. It's a group on Facebook, and if you've worked with her, you can send a pretty nominal fee and be part of that group. But I sent her a message and posted in that group because Ruben and I hit tons of PRs in Up Dog, got our Disc Dog bronze title. Today was the last day of Toss and Fetch. We finished at the top of the heap for all the dogs competing. We had the highest score with our handicap because we're not masters. We are masters now, but we weren't at the beginning of the season. And I've been reading a book, and in the book, it talks about making, having the maximum result out of the minimum potential. And basically, what that means is just because you might not be the greatest or you might not have the greatest talent, you can still maximize what your result is if you put the work in. And I will say that Ruben is an amazing dog. I love him to death. As far as being a natural at disc, he's not. He's just not. There are many limitations that he has that other dogs don't. But I think because we put in the focused work this year, we got the maximum result out of the minimum potential. And I will put myself at that minimum potential too, because I didn't really know what I was doing and I had to learn how to perform.
None of us know what we're doing.
Yeah. So I'm just so proud of him and, and I'm happy with myself too, that, I was able to just say like, hey, this is my weaknesses. I have to work on this. And there's obviously still a long, long way to go, but we had some goals for this year and we crushed them. So and I wanted to thank Andrea and the community there that she's built, because I've learned so much about the mechanics of even simple things like how a Frisbee flies, like what a stable versus an unstable disc is, how to read wind, how to pick a disc that is going to be appropriate for the wind conditions, how to pick a disc that is going to be appropriate for your dog. And what I've found is when I hear people talking on the field, people just have no idea. People that are even competing, like they don't know how a Frisbee works. And I didn't either until I started trying to research and learn about it and ask questions and talk to people that actually know what they're doing. And just with a little bit of guidance, like it really can go a long way. So my goal with this series was just kind of to wet the whistle, so to speak, a little bit about the mechanics of how you can improve your throw and how you can improve your catch and how you can improve your practice. And I hope that you got a little something out of it. If you have questions, feel free to let me know. Anyway, I do have a few here, and Laurie, I do think some of these would warrant you chiming in, so feel free to do that if you feel so inclined.
I'll chime.
Okay, so the first question you probably won't chime, but was what kind of disc do you use? And I did answer this question in the throw episode, I believe, but I don't think I was completely fair after listening to what I said, because I basically said, pick a disc, any disc, and just go with it. Don't focus or fixate on the type of disc that you are using. And I still want to keep to that mentality. So I do think that a lot of beginner players, including myself, get obsessed with a disc and they're not obsessed with their technique. So I said in that episode, and I'll say it again, if you take any disc dog disc and you give it to somebody that knows how to throw a Frisbee, they will be able to throw a catchable throw no matter what. I sincerely believe that from the bottom of my heart. So with that being said, you need to think about, okay, if I know that someone that knows how to throw this thing can throw a catchable throw, does it really matter what kind of disc it is? And I believe the answer is no. So you need to pick a disc that is going to fit the way your dog catches and that is going to create some sort of value. And what I mean by that is some discs are made out of that hard plastic material, and when your dog catches it, they puncture it and then you have to throw it away eventually. Other discs are made out of softer, more, they call it either candy or taffy material if you're using the Hero disc brand, and those are going to be a little bit more durable. To me, the ultimately durable disc is going to be the Hyperflight Jaws disc. That's the disc that, is just like the tried and true Skyhounds disc. If you look at any of the Skyhounds players, they're using that disc for distance. They're using the disc for shorter. They're using it all the time. It's a very versatile disc, and I believe it was the first disc that ever was like mass produced as a disc dog disc that was going to be durable for your like hard biting dogs.
They're just making the things I see now on Instagram and Facebook. The catering they're doing to the dog world. I saw spandex for dog trainers that have a dispensable poop bag. Like, if you want a disc for anything, I'm sure that you can find it. The stuff they're making for dogs and dog trainers is redonkulous.
Yeah, and with regard to disc, like, okay, so there's going to be like your pet quality stuff like Laurie's talking about. Like, Kong makes discs. Chuck It makes discs. Those type of discs are going to be used for your just regular play. So they're probably not going to be suitable for disc dog sports. So when you talk about sports, you want to talk about a disc that's going to have some float to it, that's going to be able to glide in the air. Your Kong rubber discs, your Chuck It discs, like with the hole in the middle, like those discs aren't going to fly. They can be really good at building up drive if you need to for your dog. But ultimately, you want to pick a disc dog disc that is going to be suitable for play. Okay, so the question was, what kind of disc do you use? Okay, so for Ruben, I have kind of a special situation with him because he doesn't have a really hard bite. Also, he really needs a good throw to catch. So if I throw kind of crappy, he doesn't try really hard to catch. So I need a disc that is going to float in the air, so give me a little bit of glide, and it's going to be, a little bit larger in order to do that. And I don't necessarily need that durable plastic for him. So whereas for Buddha, for example, if I was going to play with him, I believe the only disc I really would be able to use is the Hyperflight Jaws disc because he just is so hard biting. So for Ruben, I use the Hero Extra Distance 235s or the or the Air 235s. If it is windy out, I'll switch over to a Hero Supersonic disc because the Supersonic is going to fall a little bit faster, which is going to make it less susceptible to the wind. And it is going to be able to handle the wind a little bit better and cut through the wind a little bit better because it is a little bit heavier. So those are the two discs that I use for Ruben. And they work great. If you have a hard biting dog, like a Lab or a Malinois or a Shepherd or something like that, and you use the extra 235s, you may have to throw them away frequently. If you are a competitor, you're used to this and you will just do it anyway. because that's part of the game. But if you're just looking to play, infrequently and you need a little bit more value, I would suggest getting one of the durable discs. And the durable discs from Hyperflate are the Jaws discs, and the durable discs from Hero Disc are the super model discs, anything with super in front of the name. The last thing I'll say, the Hyperflate makes a disc called a Soft Flight disc. It's a yellow disc. When I started with Ruben, I had 4 or 5 of these discs, and I played with him because I figured it would be easier on his mouth to catch these discs. I found that those discs, because they were so soft, they got puncture marks in them really fast, and his mouth kind of got cut up a little bit faster on those discs. This is my own personal experience with those discs. Therefore, I would not recommend them to somebody, because if your dog is committed to catching a disc, that nominal amount of softness that those soft light discs offer is not going to make any difference. You may as well just go ahead and get a supersonic disc or a Jaws disc, because both of those discs are going to be a little softer and more pliable. And if your dog is really committed to catching, they're going to catch it. So I found that the soft flight discs cause a little bit more injury to my dog. I also think that when your dog is kind of learning how to catch, there's a little bit of a learning curve. So you might, I know this sounds disgusting, but your dog's coming back to you and they're just bleeding out of their mouth because they need to learn how to catch the disc just as much as you need to learn how to throw the disc. Okay, so a little bit of a long-winded topic, but I wanted to kind of expound upon that question. Another question that I got from a client, do you worry about injury? I have my base on the floor and Buddha just touched it with his tail and it made a loud noise. Okay. Do you worry about injury when you're playing? And I don't know, maybe Laurie, you can talk a little bit about this. Why don't you let me play disc with Buddha?
Oh, Morty's going to hurt himself.
Yeah. So I guess the answer to that question would be yes.
Yeah. The fence guy, well, he's just so heavy. And I try to keep him thin and fit, but these sports just put so much wear and tear on our dogs. And I think of how much I have to do now at 43 to keep my body functioning, because like a body part decides to go out weekly. It's either my back or now I have a right knee thing going on. And dude, man, I'm in a hot mess. So if I require all these things, the chiropractor, the doctor, I'm trying to figure out why nothing actually heals fully. Imagine what our dogs are doing. Go over the jump, go over the hurdle, catch a dumbbell, run back, sprint over this. And I just worry about the constant jumping and what it could do to his joints. And I don't have him going to a regular chiropractor. The thing is, they're athletes. If it's just a regular dog, they don't have the same wear and tear, just like a person. But if you're active all the time like we are, we're always looking for a way to make ourselves better. So we're taking joint supplements. Oh my God, the turmeric. If I could crush it and snort it, I probably would at this point. When I have grooming appointments, I make sure that I cram them in so that I can have a chiropractor visit right after, knowing that I'm going to ruin myself. I have a massage therapist on call. If the shit hits the fan and she kills me and enjoys doing it, we just have to make sure that we take care of our dogs. Catherine was in the ring with Piper and she was having a hard time lying down. And, the judge said, hey, my dog wasn't lying down either, and found out that she, was sore. We just have to pay attention to the dogs. And then the fence guy came and he's like, oh, this fence is a little pushed out here. You have a lot of pressure against this fence? And I go, yeah, 95-pound Rottweiler catching a jolly ball. That's the pressure I have against the fence. What do you want, dude? It's a fence. Can't we just do something about this? Why isn't anything made to last? Our body, our dogs, whatever. So I'm sure I'm going to need somebody for Boo. There are people in our group too, their dogs were having one injury after another that they had to heal from. And I don't know. We just have to take care of the dogs, really. I don't know. Oh, and I had one more thing about goals. So I think it's important for everyone, including dog trainers, to set goals for themselves for the new year. If you have been delaying going to a trial, or I don't know, if you've been delaying doing anything you want to do, work towards the goal, write it down on a piece of paper, and do it. Every week, so when I check in with Kelly, my coach that helps me with nutrition and weightlifting, Leah's recording me. I'm supposed to be natural. So if you have these goals, every time I talk to Kelly weekly, we have short-term goals and long-term goals, and everything that I have wrote, whether it be dog-related, business-related, or personal-related, I have made it happen. And so I really think, guys, for everyone, if you write your goals down, when you're able to check them off, it's an amazing thing. So we set goals every year, and we've been reaching them. And every time I, write to Kelly weekly, I'm like, I wrote to her. I checked in with her just this weekend, and I said, I did it. I completed those long-term goals or those short-term goals, whether it was just like having my customer calendar or making sure your books are done or making sure this is done. Do it. For dog trainers, really write down your goals and start working towards it, and just get your ass in the ring. If you're scared or not, just go. If you need a friend to go with you, go. I'm hoping one of our customers will go into rally and
we have a bunch of different prospects, so I hope so too.
Yeah, like we've been doing really well since we stopped. Well, I stopped taking dogs for the day, and we've been focusing more on training, and we're seeing better results with our customers. And
yep.
It's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've reached those goals. Write them down, people, and
yes.
do them. Do it,
yes.
do it, do it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Every day I use Google Keep to write down my notes for the day. And
I write it on paper.
Yeah, and I have... I like Google Keep because I have Gmail, and it's kind of whatever, but... and you can do this in notes, too, on your phone, but... I just make a checklist for the day, and I don't always mark off everything that I have on that checklist, but at least I do more than I would if I didn't have it. That's the way that I look at it. And yeah, absolutely. I think that writing them down is huge. I'm excited too, because I have a couple of clients that are interested in disc, and I've been working with them pretty regularly, building up drive. I also do a lot of off-leash obedience with my clients, and I've been a lot more outspoken about the techniques that I use and the mentality that I have behind it. And since I've been more focused on creating, a clientele that is able to enjoy their dog off leash, I'm just seeing like a ton of results, and people are just so happy. And I actually wrote that down, not at the beginning of last year, but during the spring season last year, because I realized that I'm good at it and I can get the results, and that's also like what people really want. So yeah, so it does pay off to just like write things down or speak them into existence, I think is another really helpful thing. And as silly as it sounds, like this podcast is something that really helps to keep me motivated, because we speak a lot of stuff on here and sometimes I remember that, and I kind of am held accountable because of it. So
yes, you need somebody to hold you accountable.
Yeah. And even if it's yourself, and it's hard when it's yourself, but if it is just yourself, you're going to be that much stronger if you end up achieving whatever it is you set out to do. And I think both Laurie and I are kind of big on those, like, kind of just goal-oriented type of mentality for ourselves, because we have to be our own boss, and when you're your own boss, you have to be the one pushing yourself, because nobody else is pushing you. And
that's how you see progress.
And it's not for the faint of heart either. It's not challenging.
I'm exhausted. We're exhausted.
Yeah.
We're really tired.
Yeah.
I started to realize I was fading, like trying to do all my therapy visits, so I had to definitely cut down. I cut down on my therapy visits just because trying to fit in work and grooming and
Everything.
life, and then trying to take care of your family, and family events happened, and it's just a lot. But you can do it. I literally take it one step at a time. When I start to feel overwhelmed or like anxiety ridden, I just make sure that I do take at least 1 hour to myself a day, and that's with weightlifting. And so if you can, take it to yourself. You know, you work like a 13-hour day. If you can take an hour, I don't think that's asking too much. Fit it in. There is a way, but Leah and I are coming like down this week. This weekend, like there's a drop. Like we're just so happy, and our goals have been reached, and there's a moment to breathe. And today I sent out a letter to my customers saying how thankful I am to them, because without our customers, I wouldn't be able to do this for 19 years now. I'm going on 19 years. That makes me feel so old. I had to change my vacation schedule because the kids that I knew are in college now. Mm-hmm. They're not in like elementary, middle school, or high school anymore. So I had to alter my vacation schedule because parents are going to college weekend. And now I'm at the point where... we do
have elementary kids coming in too, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, and like I have customers where I'm training their kids' dogs now because they're with somebody and they have a significant other and they're about to get married, or they are married, and now I'm on the kid's second dog and the parents' fourth. I don't know. I'm just trying to make it all work.
Time goes by so fast, and just being able to manage that in your mind and be able to see like, okay, I mean, just the fact that we got Ruben 5 years ago is just like mind blowing.
I know, and like Buddha's going to be
and
5 in February.
We look younger in those pictures. Yes.
Oh, we look younger in the pictures.
I mean,
now we look old.
God, I'm like, dang,
fracking Botox.
Oh my word, my forehead wrinkles.
Dude, I want to get Botox, but I know I'm going to be that chick that has like the one eyebrow up to her hairline.
I'm putting my foot down.
Oh, I know it.
No.
The lip thing, though, that's crazy pants. You can't be doing that.
Well, I don't want to talk too much because there might be people listening that are really into Botox, and
I have nothing wrong with Botox. I just know that
I don't like Botox.
I'm going to be the one that gets the allergic reaction, and my one eyebrow is up to my hairline.
I don't like Botox because you can see when somebody gets it. That to me, it defeats the purpose of it.
There's got to be somebody out there that makes it au natural. What about all those people in the news stations? They get it.
I suppose.
How do they stay so skinny all the time too? God bless them. I got to tell you.
Starvation.
It's been a little crazy. So I was like, I'm just going to have like pizza today. But then it's left over, and I'm like, well, what about today? I have to start that diet tomorrow. I'm like, put it down. Put it down.
No, I feel like we've been doing okay.
I've been doing okay. There's always a reason to celebrate, though, which is why I'm having a margarita.
There is. And we're going to take a break because I need to refill my drink, and we're going to get back to the question at hand. Hold on.
I'm tired.
Okay, we're back.
And we're back.
All right. So we're just going to touch on this question once again. Do you worry about injury? And that's a little bit of a paraphrase question. Yes, we do worry about injury. I do think that walking out of your house with your dog or by yourself is creating some sort of a risk. So, I'm not a totally risk-averse type of person. For my particular dog, I don't worry as much about injury with him because his level of commitment when he's playing disc is medium. So sometimes if you watch other dogs and the way that they jump for the disc, they have absolutely zero regard for their body. And I do not have a dog like that. If you do have a dog like that, in my opinion, it puts more onus on you, the handler, to be able to throw as best as you possibly can all the time so that you don't put them in a situation where they are jumping out of control for the disc, or you throw really short and they have to catch and then slide. It's really, really important that you learn how to throw. And then do your risk assessment. If you decide, you know what, this isn't something that I want to risk it, that's cool. But if you decide, hey, this is really fun for my dog, it's fun for me, it creates a good way to condition them, It is a wonderful outlet for them. Go for it. And if your dog gets injured, just know that rest is going to be the number one treatment.
I used to ice my Seamus, my pit bull.
Yeah, I have
I iced his knees. I used
jacket for Reuben too.
Yeah, and I used to say stretch. And so they'd be on their back and I'd stretch out their back legs. I stretch out their front legs. Buddha had a massage therapy visit once because she was nice. This woman, I can't remember her name, was nice enough to come to one of our bite work sessions, and I saw everything that she did. So I watched her, and then I make sure I do it with Buddha, and I do the same thing with Reuben. I do the same thing with Raven. I stretch them out, and I touch their knees, and I stretch their toes. Every time you go to a dog show, there's a chiropractor there. There's a massage therapist there for their dogs, because every time we go, there's an agility session, and those dogs definitely need it. You should check with your insurance to make sure that they cover sports dog injuries, because some insurance companies may not.
Right. Yeah,
so
good point.
Make sure that you check to make sure that your insurance company does cover those things. And the price goes up substantially. The price is going up so much on everything. Vet care, dog insurance, just everything. It's
supplies,
crazy.
Food, toys,
but
everything.
I'm not above icing my dog's knee or icing my dog's leg or checking him, making sure he's okay. There were a couple times when we would, we meet on Sundays for IGP group. If it's raining, we worry about sliding.
Yep.
If the grass is a little wet that day, sometimes we don't do certain things because the dog's going to have to cut a sharp corner to come around and see the decoy in the blind. So we're very aware of, when you teach your dog to go over the A-frame or the jumps, teach your dog to go up the middle all the way down and not jump from the top to the ground, because that's going to put pressure on this dog's joints. Teach your dog, put a touch pad on the bottom of target, because I know in agility they put targets on A-frames as the dog goes up and touches the target on the bottom so they don't leap forward and put all that pressure on their front joints. But just be aware of your dog, touch your dog. Grooming is so important because you see things in your dog that you would normally see. Never mind, physical injuries, but guys, touch your dogs. Look at your dogs. When I tell you I know every hair on Buddha's head, I know every mark on Reuben. Reuben gets this random rash on his inner thigh. And when he does, we put some medical shampoo on him. We throw him in the tub. Your groomer should know your dog unless you groom your dog yourself. I was a single lady, 3 dogs. I put a grooming tub in my garage. I turned it into a grooming room. Look at your dogs. Look if they're in pain, if their gait is off, whatever. A lot of the time it requires crate rest. If you have a crazy friggin' dog, and Buddha's only crazy when he's in drive. I don't see a crazy Buddha when I'm in the rally ring, especially lately. He's just oh my God, are we done? Which is why I'm glad for the break. I'm hoping that will bring more chutzpah. Every time we are ready for a competition, I rest him days before so that he'll have something for me. But when they're in high drive, they don't care. Make sure that you are there to guide them. So that's what I would say about that. And if you have to ice them, go ahead, ice them. I used to ice my dogs all the time. Seamus, my pit bull, he had a knee injury. He had a knee repair. We didn't have to do the other one. I iced him all the time. I used arnica, anything to make him better. Joint supplements and all that. So keep an eye on your dog. Watch them. Know them.
Yes. The other thing I would say in regard to knowing your dog, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because I don't know a lot about this, and I would love to have somebody like Lorraine, who owns Canine New England, or April Pelletier, who's been on the podcast before, talk about some of these issues, because I am not a structuralist. I know the very bare basics as far as the structure of a dog and how they walk. But if you are interested, and I'll link this book in the highlights reel that I have on Instagram for resources, but I have read the book called The Dog in Action, which is actually an old book. I think it was published in the 60s, but it just talks about the structure of your dog and how they walk, canter, and run. And it's really eye-opening because it will show you how when a dog's shoulders are narrow, how that affects their gait, how when their body is short, how that will affect their gait and how it will affect their ability to run. And certain dogs are prone to certain injuries based on the way that their structure is. And that's why there has been a focus on conformation. Because if a dog is too short, or if a dog is, if the dog doesn't have the proper width in their shoulder versus in comparison to the length of the leg, these things will cause problems when the dog is working. So if you just have a pet dog and you're just doing whatever with them, like that's one thing. But if you want to take that pet dog and put them in fly ball or put them in agility or put them in disc sports or, work with them going over jumps for even if it's as simple as obedience, you want to know, like I know that Ruben crab walks a little bit when he runs. It doesn't affect him too much. However, when he is slowing down, I see it way more than when he is running at top speed. So like when he's slowing down to stop to me after he retrieves, I see it more. I don't see it as much when he's collecting to catch a disc because he has a lot more control in that situation. But it's something that I'm aware of because his leg length is very long in comparison to the width of his shoulders and the length of his body. And it's because he's a rescue dog. So there was no emphasis on conformation. There was no emphasis on, seeing how the dogs were, looked before they bred together. And we get a lot of this information and insight from the horse community. So if you do read the book Dogs in Action, or you start to learn a little bit more about dogs and how they run and how they, how their gait is kind of put together. We get a lot of that from the thoroughbred horse community, which is pretty cool. So anyway, if you are going to get into sport, you have a rescue dog, or even if you have a purebred dog, it's worth it to know about their conformation and how sound they are. And that will help, hopefully, to prevent injury. So I think we answer that one to the best of our ability. I think neither of us, we know how to do things that are preventative and also how to treat our dogs if they do have an injury. We're super in tune to them because we do ask a lot of them. So if you are in a position where you're asking more of your dog, just be aware that you got to pay attention to their physical responses even more because they're not a couch potato anymore. They're actually a working dog.
Or people that bike with their dog, or people that go to the woods with their dogs or run with their dogs. You count too, like the pet parents out there. Just know that you're putting pressure on your dog's joints.
100%.
Yep.
Okay. Third and final question. Man, it's taking us a while to get through 3 questions, but we're going off on tangents. It's okay.
Leah's like, it's just going to be a short one, honey. Come on. Okay.
Okay. So the third question is, do you feed your dogs special food for their activity level?
We feed Victor high energy.
Dog food. Yeah, we feed dog food, dog kibble.
I feed, that's it. I mean, I feed dog kibble. I'd love to say that I do raw. I don't. We do freeze dried sometimes, but I only do it for before we go in the ring. That's about it. I do really high value stuff before we go into the ring, but now we've even eliminated it from. Well, we've eliminated it from Buddha's diet, just like getting it in a bowl, and until 2 weeks now, I have been making Buddha grab the dumbbell before he gets his food. Things were getting crazy in the last week, and we had some personal family things that happened in the last week that affected my training with him, but he wouldn't get his dinner until he would hold the dumbbell in his mouth happily. All positive because nothing else works with Buddha, but all positive. So, he would only get high value treats for doing something good, but he's not getting in his bowl anymore. I think I'm going to keep that up because I need him to work for me, want to do it, and I know that he needs a rest. So no, we feed Victor high energy. They have great stool on it. I know the dog people are very focused on
dog poop.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. So they have really good dog stool on it. He processes it well. Buddha had a lot of like GI things when he was younger. That's the food he does well on. He's wicked picky. He likes freeze-dried food. He could care less about anything and also spit a treat right back in your face.
Yeah.
Good luck. Try to feed him something.
Yep.
He could care less.
Ruben, on the other hand, is like a garbage disposal.
He'll definitely survive in the outside. Like Ruben will go to a dumpster and be like, "This is fabulous. This is the best buffet I've ever been to." Buddha will be like, "No."
So
he won't eat anything.
When we had our little Rhonda, because she had a health condition. So if you haven't been listening to the podcast, we had a puppy in the spring and she unfortunately passed away. She had a liver shunt, which is a congenital condition. She had it from birth and it really started to present itself when she was about 4 months old. And the main symptom was she lost her appetite. So as a caring mother, I was trying all these different types of foods. And my mentality behind it was, hey, we have this Rottweiler that when he was little, he had all these GI issues. We tried foods with him. We wound up going back to the food that the breeder fed when he was a puppy because the breeder said, just feed him. She was so like, matter of fact about the whole thing.
Yeah, she really is. She
was just like, just feed him the Victor dog food. Like, what's the problem with you people? And we were like, okay. And at the time we had Ruben, I think he was on Taste of the Wild because Ripa had been on Taste of the Wild her whole life. Did really well on it.
Forever.
And so, when you have multiple dogs, it's just so much easier if they're all eating the same food. So we put all the dogs on Taste of the Wild. Buddha really was struggling on that dog food. And we tried other things too. And she was like, just feed him this food. And we were like, okay, we never heard of it before. Apparently, Victor is big in the sport dog world. A lot of the breeders that breed sport dogs feed their dogs Victor. Nobody sold it around here at the time, so you couldn't even find it in the pet store. So we had to order it, I think, on Chewy. And now I think Pet Supply Plus
they sell it,
stock the food. Yeah,
they get good sales too.
But anyway, so we started Buddha on the Victor. She goes, the red bag. I'm like, okay, the red bag. So, and the high energy blend of food. Normally they have about like a 30-20 blend of protein to fat ratio. Any of the sport dog blends, Purina Pro Plan has it, Eukanuba, Victor. The Victor even has like a sport dog blend. They tend to have a higher protein to fat ratio. Some dogs don't do well on that protein to fat ratio. It's kind of like too rich for them if they're not getting the activity that they need. So I would just say do whatever the heck works for you as far as dog food. I feel like if we could have a totally other podcast on just talking about dog food.
Yeah, I just feel like if your dog does well on it, doesn't have any GI issues, then it's fine. And I did an allergy test on Buddha just to be united with my people whose dogs have tons of allergies. He had nothing. If anything, there was a slight reaction to any fish stuff, but Buddha likes beef, chicken, turkey. No, I mean, this is a dog who I could be making I could be making at least 10 different bowls of food for dogs. And he would just sit there and look at me while the bowls were made, lying on the floor, all set up, ready to eat.
And then you put the bowl
he'll
of food
just sit there and look at you. He doesn't even care. And he eats it
with a fork and a knife. It's like he puts every kibble in his mouth and like make sure that it doesn't have any medication in it before he eats it. Yeah,
and Jane, his breeder, she said, I find that my dogs really like petting and dairy. That's what she said. Literally, she's like, they like petting and dairy.
And it's true. If you put
cottage cheese. Loves cottage cheese.
I make homemade yogurt for him. He loves it.
Yep.
He loves it.
He loves yogurt. He would eat his dog food happily. And when he was a puppy, he flipped me the tail every day of his life. And he was crated a lot, and he got his dog food, and that was it. But man, he could care less. He could care less about. He could care less about food.
Oh, to finish my story about Ruben, so I had all these bags of dog food.
He's so wonderful.
A bag of Pro Plan.
Everything.
I had a bag of Eukanuba. It was all puppy food. I had a bag of
because
Victor puppy food because Rhonda wouldn't eat anything.
So we were going through all these foods.
So I just I mixed all the foods together
and gave it to Ruben.
And I gave it to Ruben.
And he ate it
for like 3 months. And his poop was fine. His
perfect.
Performance
He didn't care
was
less.
fine.
Yep.
I mean,
he's fine.
I told myself, like, okay, if he gets diarrhea from this, I'm just going to throw it all away. Like, I told myself, like, obviously I'm not going to, like, make my dog eat this food.
Right.
If he's suffering on it. But he didn't get a rash. His coat was great. His teeth were great. Nails, everything. Yeah. And he, so all that to say, yes, we do a lot with our dogs. The foods that we feed are, I mean, if you can put quotations, like high quality foods as far as their protein to fat ratio. I would consider just look at the way that your dog looks, their coat, their nails, their teeth. They have
to have a shiny
ears,
coat.
All that stuff. Their stool is so important to look at. And if your dog, like, this is really important too, you guys. If your dog is doing well on the food that they are on, who cares? Like, just keep feeding them that food because, yes, raw food and raw feeding is probably the way that most trainers are going to advocate to feed your dog. But if your dog is doing really well on the food that they're on, like, there's literally no reason to change. If, on the other hand, your dog is not doing well, like, I have a couple clients right now, their dogs are on, like, a Purina food or a Beneful food, and they're needlessly gaining
it's like
weight.
The Twinkie of the dog world.
Yeah, they're like needlessly gaining weight. So like these dogs are eating like a cup of kibble a day, and they're like huge, right? They're gaining weight. That's a red flag. Their coat is brittle. Their nails are brittle. That's a huge red flag. It's really important to pay attention to things like that and to make changes if you notice that there are things that are suffering. Like if their stool is really bad, if their stool volume is like ridiculous, these are things to pay attention to because it may mean that you need to change it up. So for us, our dogs, I would put quotation marks around, are they working dogs? They get more activity than your average pet dog. Do they get as much activity as a German Shorthair Pointer going on 60 hunts a year? No. Do they get as much activity as a protection dog doing 2 sessions a week and 5 competitions a year? No. But they are in situations where they're constantly stimulated, constantly stressed. We are competing a lot. We are practicing a lot for those competitions. We're exercising a lot. We're conditioning by doing field runs and going on hikes. We do a lot of hiking with our dogs. We're super lucky that we have woods close by our house, and that provides opportunities for them to run. And then I do field runs with Ruben at least 4 times a week. So that is going to put more stress on him. So I have to make sure that I am paying attention to the way that he looks, the way that he feels, the way his coat is, his stool, etc. The other thing to consider when you are looking at what you feed and how much you feed is whether or not your dog is altered. So of our 2 dogs that work, Buddha is unaltered, Ruben is altered. An altered dog is going to have trouble over the years maintaining muscle mass and developing muscle mass to begin with. And generally speaking, this doesn't mean every dog, generally speaking, is probably going to need a little less food because they just have a slower metabolism. They don't have the same hormones because they lost their reproductive organs. An unaltered dog is probably going to have a more requirement for, higher calorie diet because, they are just going to have, more going on with them hormonally that is going to affect the way that they metabolize food. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And with Buddha, he eats a substantial amount of food, but the biggest thing, and this kind of goes back to the question about, do you worry about injury? So the biggest thing, and I know that this is going to sound super fundamental, but it's so true, especially in our society today where we don't want to talk about anything having to do with people being overweight. But if your dog is overweight and you are asking them to do exceptional things, you are increasing the risk of them getting injured. So it's super important to keep your dogs lean if you're asking them to play disc sports, do protection, do agility, or even go on a hike, right? So if they're on a hike and they go and chase something, you have a good recall, so you're not worried about it. You're like, all right, go chase that squirrel over that log and up the tree and whatever. I know this dog's going to come back to me. Like, that's totally cool. But if your dog's overweight and they're out of shape and you put them in that situation, the risk of them getting injured is going to go up. So you have to make sure that you're keeping your dogs really fit. So you have to make sure that you keep your dogs really fit in order to, make sure that the risk of injury is as low as it possibly can be. What is an overweight dog? It depends on your dog, but normally we like to think that you want to be able to see and feel at least one of their ribs and see a nice defined waist on the dog, okay? And if they're eating, a reasonable amount of food, or even if they're eating an amount of food that you think is not a lot of food, like maybe they need a different type of food. Maybe you have to do a hormone test on your dog to see what's going on with them hormonally. Investigate, figure out what is going to work for your dog, and do whatever it takes. If your dog's doing great on kibble, keep feeding him kibble. If your dog's not doing good on the kibble, you might have to do something a little bit more nuanced. Maybe you need to switch to some raw food. Maybe you need to switch to some home-cooked food. I don't know. But whatever is going to work for your dog is going to work for your dog. Don't listen to what everybody says, okay? Because everybody has their own dog, and everybody is going to do what they need to do in order to be successful. We're lucky we can feed our dogs kibble, and they're just fine. They're great. If they had an issue and they needed to be fed something different, we would do that. No questions asked. But, I'm not going to try to fit a square peg into a round hole. I am not going to be beholden to a certain brand of dog food or a way of thinking. I am going to do whatever works best for my dog. Okay, so Laurie had to leave because we had a problem with a puppy. But I hope you guys found this informative. I really enjoyed being able to put my thoughts together. It admittedly has been a while now since I recorded the Disc Dog podcast. So if you have any questions or continuing thoughts, please let me know. You can DM the FPV Talks Instagram account. You can email me at leah@fitpetboston.com. I am available. I very much appreciate your listening ear. If you can, please rate and review the podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, it's so easy to slam that notifications button. It's also super easy to leave a good review if you're into what you're listening to. It really helps us get out to more people. And I want this podcast, especially in 2023, to reach as many people as possible. I think that what we have to say is very interesting. I think that it's very applicable. And I think that, with social media just bombarding and bombasting people with information in short little snippets, even though it's accessible, it's not necessarily the best, especially with regard to dog training and training a dog, because this stuff happens on a continuum. It happens with a lot of experience. It happens with a lot of mistakes. And to me, I am super grateful to have this podcast to be able to just do a little bit more explaining and hopefully being able to reach people on a deeper level than those photos and Instagram reels and just little snippets of information. So hook us up, leave us a rating and review. I hope everybody has a wonderful week and a very Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Happy holidays if you don't. And at the very least, Happy New Year. Set some goals. I hope you achieve them. And we will talk to you next time.